Good morning. Welcome all of you. Bande Matram. This morning we have chosen a very interesting topic, that is on "Let Thy will be done, not mine." So the topic of choice for this morning is on "Let Thy will be done and not mine." All the way we are going to discuss on divine will. To will what the divine wills, that is the secret of sadhana. So for that, actually, we are going to discuss little bit on both philosophy, both the writings of Mother and of course from the Master Sri Aurobindo. So first, initially, we will go for the very interesting definition as defined by Sri Aurobindo on will. What really we understand the word will. Because let thy will be done, not mine. That is the prayer under all circumstances and always. That must be the secret of our sadhana. Anyway, Sri Aurobindo has I will try to quote two messages from Sri Aurobindo on will. Initially Sri Aurobindo quotes, "Our human will is a misled and wandering ray." Our human will, that is, human will is the perversion of the divine will. From the supreme it has been perverted, and at the lowest level it has turned the human will. It always errs, it always actually differs, there is always kind of chance of finding the error and all. So our human will is a misled and wandering ray that has parted from the supreme positions. Human will had been parted from the supreme positions. It is misled and wandering ray. Initially at the top it was supreme positions, it was very much clear, accurate, complete, truthful. But here our human will, that is misled and wandering ray, where we find and we stay, and of course we live with it. Second, Sri Aurobindo quotes beautifully on will. Nothing can prevail against the soul's entire will to reach the divine. Nothing can prevail. Nothing can prevail against the soul's entire will. Here is the will, soul's entire will to reach the divine, and nothing can prevent it, and nothing can prevail finally. No human will can finally prevail against the divine will. So we have got two wills, one is divine will, another is human will. Human will normally destructs, misleads, and of course brings out of track the entire thing. So here in the quotes, no human will can finally prevail against the divine will. That is mostly the top secret of this yoga. So let thy will be done, not mine. Finally the divine will prevail. No human will can prevail against the divine will. And human will is only a perversion of the divine will. It has to be carried forward to reach the divinity's heights. That is what the requirement, and that is what, for that only we are doing the sadhana in a very interesting way and in a very active way. So the things are very much clear, very crystal clear manner. Sri Aurobindo has quoted, this is the right thing. Nothing with the human will has to become a part, is it really a part of the divine will, and this human will has to be made one with the gods. Human thought could echo the thought of God. If the human will can be made one with the gods, if human thought could echo the thought of God, then man might be all-knowing and omnipotent. All-knowing and omnipotent, if human will could be made one with the gods, and the human thought could echo the thought of God. But here in the quote, but uses the word but. He is now moving in nature's doubtful way. Yet, again, Sri Aurobindo starts the sentence with yet. The mind of man can receive the God's light, and of course the force of man can be divine by the God's force. If this is done, mind of man can be divine, can receive the God's light, and the force of man could be driven by the God's force. Then then mankind shall be a miracle. Then is he a miracle doing miracles. Thus, and then so he will be the nature's king. So this is the condition, and it has to be lifted up, it has to be elevated, and it has to be one with the divine will. Human will has to be made one with the divine will. With that, he can be all knowing and omnipotent. He can be doing miracles. He thus can be the nature's king. Anyway, we'll read something from Mother's message. Finally, we'll see what the divine wills that we will. That is the complete. That is the top secret. That is the secret of the sadhana. That's what we have to do. And moreover, describing and defining the divine will, mother course, the divine is will is like this. It is something like a process. It is a channel of water, and it must be very much open, and it must be very much wide, so that his force, the divine force, will enter and flow into the, as the river flows through the channel, like a river or a branch river or stream to the its ever awaited, ever lover, that is sea. So like this, it must be open and wide, so that this divine grace and divine power will flow smoothly towards the end. Against your in the mother course, be silent in peace and with the unshakable ardent faith. You try to consecrate yourself, to surrender near the divine. That is what the requirement. Whatever happens, mother course, that is the only the result of the divine will. What the divine wills, that greater reflection is found to whatever is happening inside us. That is the secret. Again, then you do the human work activities. They may be only a method, only it is only a symptom, it is only a path, but thing is that it is not at the, not at the end. Again, mother course, fully you make yourself an empty slate or empty paper, so that the divine, nothing will be hindered from you, nothing will obstruct you, and that the divine will be there to read everything, so that he will write his intention on you. So your life must be like an empty slate or empty paper. Again, further course, as per our capability, we have to do the work in the best possible manner, and leaving the result to the divine, that is the true way for peace, ananda, force, progress, and finally the entire perfection. That's what we have to do. But about what the real thing, what really we have to do, that is actually you have to engage yourself in a silently and movelessly for the work of the divine, and finally his will be done, and he will do everything for you. And most of the time, divine will finally prevails. Only thing can be articulated, anything that can be effectuated, and it will come to practice, that is divine will, not the human will. We have got the mother course, we have got our rights, we can make our demands near the divine. Mother course, let the soul come with all its demands, so that it can be fulfilled, and I need it, I want it to be done. Like this, human, the finally divine will prevail. Everything will be done as per the requirement, and as per the with the will, as per the will of the divine. But thing is that it is not done as per the human will. It will be done, and it must be done, it is bound to be done as per the divine sanction, divine option, divine willing, and the divine of course carrier, as per he wills. That is what the requirement. Anyway, we are going to little bit to read Sri Aurobindo in detail. Of course, we are going to see what really this will really it summarizes. We'll find what is the, to when we are reading of the divine will, Sri Aurobindo course, when the mind, how shall we know that this is divine will, or it is asuric will, or it is a human will, or it is a will of the ego? How can we be able to know? Then very simply, in a very simple manner, we feel, okay, he is a good sadhaka doing some sadhana, give it delivering speech and all. You try to refer it to the, ask the question, he can answer. That is not the right answer, because he is also going on the way. The path and of course the success depends upon the nature and personality of the sadhaka. For every sadhaka, this path and this track have been, it's completely different. Nothing remains the same. So how you will be knowing, and we will be knowing whether it is a human will, asuric will, the purported will, divine will. How can we know? Mother steer up in the course into very clear, crystal clear manner. Very interestingly, steer in the tries to explain. When the mind is pure, condition number one, psychic is prominent. Number two, then one can know what is according to divine will and what is against it. Two things must prevail, so that with these two things anybody can be able to know what is divine will and what is against it. Number one is when mind is pure, purity of mind. Number one, then prominence of psychic, it has to come out. Now itself the psychic is veiled, it is on actually hidden, it is passive, but thing is that it has to gain its prominence, it has to come out, so that anybody can be able to know what is actually divine will and what is against it. So the mind is pure and the psychic is prominent. Again, Sri Aurobindo. What the divine wills is always for the best. That's what the example we have known. What the divine wills, that is for the best one. I can remember one thing. When somebody was transferred to a new town, new city, there itself he could be able to know from maybe from internet or something. He came to know that there are two clubs. One is for the Bhagyavadis, men with fate and fortune destiny. Second one is Hetuvadi, region analysis, argument like this. So where he has to go? Initially, he decides to go and accept the membership of of some club. Finally, he decides and go to the first club that is meant for the Bhagyavadi club. Means it is destined who are destined to follow the fate destiny like this. There itself he reaches and expects his intention that he wants to join the club. The manager asks, "For what you are here? Why you are interested in joining us?" Then this man is asking, "Actually, I am very much concerned. If I get engaged, get involved in this club, then actually I will get some friends. That friends will happiness, the pleasure from the friends will be available, and we will have some discussion. Then it will be very much reliable, very much interesting, and very much pleasurable for me." So this manager feels then you want there must be some debate, some discussion, some analysis like this. But we are here. We are just following our fate destiny. So this is not the right club for you. Again, you go. So what will this man will do? He further proceeds to the second club, that is for the Hetuvadi, region analysis, debate like this. So there itself manager asks, what for you are interested to join this club? No, no, actually I want see this club was there in near me, near my house, but actually they refused. So I don't have any option. So ask, I am following my fate and coming so that you can accept. I will get some pleasure. I will get entangled like this. Then this manager is speaking. No, 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 no. It is not for the people who are following their fate. It is a Hetuvadi Ashram. You have to go for analysis, debate, something like one discussion like this. So we can't accept you. Please move on. So whole the way it happened that in both the club he could never join. He could not become the member of any ashram because placed wrong. He placed himself wrongly near the as the club managers. So anyway, it was the divine will. It is actually blocking the human will. Let him get silent because maybe what the divine wills, that is the best for us. Here also Sri Aurobindo having the same version. What the divine wills is always for the best. Even then, even when the mind does not see how it is. Mind always revolts because it has come for a purpose, but actually it is simply thrown out. So there is a revolt. Mind does not know what is good for me and all because mind is the purpose reflection of the supermind. It is only whatever it thinks, it feels it is very accurate, but thing is the accuracy is beyond its the reachability of the mind. So what the divine wills, that is for the best, and even when the mind does not see it. Again, the thing is that two terms are coming, really divine will. Then just imagine how the divine, what is the divine then? Divine alone is the our object. That is, it was there, it is here, and the destiny or the end point, the goal is also divine. For those who wish to lead the spiritual life, the divine must come first, then everything comes secondary. So, for the spiritual seeker, divine is the goal, divine is everything. It comes only thing. It is coming primary. The divine can lead. He does not actually drive. Actually, he leads. Then another technically something is coming to our mind. Then what is the relation between divine and human? Still, having a very nice observation on that, he has the minutest observation on the human and the divine. Divine has to veil himself in order to meet the human. Human, that is the secret. We know mind is man, human. When thou hast climbed above thy mind, thou can become the human. So, in order to meet the human, the divine has to wrap himself. Otherwise, if he is coming in the original position, original form, original name, man will never be in a position to recognize and know him. So the divine has to veil himself in order to meet the human. And how really he plays his parts. What about the divine Leela? To the materialist, he disguises himself in matter. To the materialist, he disguises himself in matter. For the nihilist, he waits ambushed in the bosom of annihilation. That is the different formats, different names, different functions he's coming. To the materialist, he disguises himself as matter. And for the nihilist, he waits ambushed in the bosom of annihilation. Again, number three, we know the divine and become the divine because we are that already in our secret nature. We have got our two types of nature. One nature is visible to the naked eyes, and the second is our secret nature. Sometimes we feel we know the divine and become the divine because we are that already in our secret nature. We are divine, we have forgotten. We are the sons of God, we don't have any proof. And you are God, you are supposed to become God. That's what we have forgotten. And you have to remember and you have to become. Like this, we know the divine because, and know the divine and become the divine. To know is good, to live is better, and to be that is perfect. Our purpose here already we have discussed to discover the divine, to manifest the divine, to become the non-divine. Here, what's here in the course, we know the divine and become the divine because we are that already in our secret nature. You don't know what you are planting there, but thing is that suppose you have put a seed that is something like lotus. Finally, you will find the tree is lotus. If it is basil, naturally the outcome will be basil. It will be very much fragrant. Like this, sometimes we find that the entire field is actually barren, nothing is there. But in a corner somewhere, one mango plant has actually it has sprouted and it has grown up. Where it was, because the seed was sleeping inside the earth, under the earth. So when it was there was a proper climatic condition, acclimatized properly, then it has actually from the seed it came out. Finally, steer in the course, if the divine were not in you, you would never know the divine. How we are able to know the divine? Because we are already divine. We know the divine. Our purpose is to become the divine, to discover the divine, to manifest the divine. Because Mother steer in the course, if we were not in you, if the divine were not in you, there is a we can see seed. So afterwards, when it is acclimatized, then the thing came forward, and the tree actually grew up. If there is no tree at all, no seed at all, then what is the probability? Not at all possible. And some miracle may be there. Overnight, you can find a big tree is actually standing near the village end. It was not there. So who made the miracle? That was the common question. But it is done. It was divine will, or some tantric has done it. Some miracle has happened. That is the topic of discussion. We can later on we can come. But here in the course, if the divine were not in you, because divine is definitely it is you in you, it is in us, in everybody. The spirit seed out of Godhead actually sparks in the human breast. It was there, lurks in the human breast. Master of existence lurks in us. That's what has been quoted and defined beautifully, glorified beautifully by Sri Aurobindo. The master of existence lurks in us. The seed of the divine Lord, it is there inside us, sleeps on you unseen inside us. So here, the steer in the course, if the divine were not in you, you would never know the divine. So definitely it is there. A divine life must be first and foremost an inner life. We have to grow, we have to grow, we have to discover, we have to become, we have to identify. That is the secret of sadhana. So finally, one thing can be achieved, and one thing can be taken as a gist or can be summarized like this. We have to do one thing, we have to pray the divine under all circumstances at every point of time. Let thy will be done and not mine. Thank you. Vande Mataram.